Order, order. Question to the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Andrew Back.
Number one, sir.
Mr. Speaker, the UK Government works closely with the Scottish Government to provide a coordinated approach to the response to COVID-19 for the benefit of people across Scotland and across the United Kingdom. For instance, the UK Government has provided the Scottish Government £1.2 billion in Barnet funding in the 2021 budget, in addition to the UK Government procuring over 500 million vaccines for the whole of the UK and making sure that our testing programme reaches all parts of the UK. This is a partnership in which the people of Scotland benefit hugely from the reach and the strength of the UK Government.
I thank my right honourable friend for that answer. It's becoming clear across the entire of the United Kingdom that our NHS is facing a huge challenge as we reopen society to deal with the thousands of delays, procedures, treatments and operations that have been delayed due to lockdown. What steps is my right honourable friend taking to ensure that the National Health Service in England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are able to work together as easily as possible, share resources and services, so as to ensure that this truly national health service for our whole country will support delivery to support our constituents wherever in the United Kingdom they might live?
Well, quite right. The NHS is one of Britain's proudest achievements, and it operates across the whole of Great Britain, and cooperation is ingrained in the DNA of the NHS, and I am absolutely determined as the UK Secretary of State for Health and Social Care to make sure that wherever you live in this United Kingdom you can access the very best of care. So if a constituent of my honourable friends in Aberdeenshire needs a treatment that is only available in England because it's so specialised, then they should have absolutely every right to that treatment, in the same way that a constituent of mine in Suffolk, or indeed of my honourable friends in North Wales. We have one NHS across these islands, and it's one of the things this country is most proud of.
Let's go to SNP spokesperson, Dr. Philippa Whitford. Philippa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure the Secretary of State is well aware that the Scottish NHS has been separate since 1948 and has been under direct Scottish Government control for the last 20 years. So there's actually 4 NHSs. Perhaps I can ask the Secretary of State about some of his decisions that have made it harder for the Scottish and other devolved governments to fight COVID. Last September, he refused to follow sage advice for an urgent lockdown, and the 6-week delay allowed the more infectious B117 Kent variant to emerge and spread across the UK, driving a second wave more deadly than the first. He has repeatedly claimed to follow the science. So can he explain why he didn't follow scientific advice last September?
Secretary of State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Just on this point, this attempt at division within the NHS is deeply regrettable. Deeply regrettable. It's not what people want. It's not what people want in Scotland. It's not what people want anywhere across this country. The NHS is an institution we should all be very proud of. Of course, it is managed locally. It's managed locally across parts of England. It's managed under the devolution settlement in Wales and Scotland, and health services in Northern Ireland, rightly so. But it ill behoves politicians to try to divide the NHS. It is a wonderful institution that should make us all proud to be British. On the specific second question she asked, of course, we are guided by the science and take all factors into consideration. These are difficult judgments based on uncertain data, and we make the best judgments that we can, and that is still the process that we're going through, in the same way that the SNP government in Scotland has recently opened up parts of the rules in terms of social distancing in Scotland. Despite the rising cases, we face a challenging decision ahead of the 21st of June, but that decision is made easier, and indeed the decision to open up is only possible because of the UK vaccination effort And today marks 6 months to the day since Margaret Keenan was the first person in the world to receive a clinically validated vaccine in Coventry, the same day as Scotland, same day as Wales, and since then we've delivered 60...
Order. It's not a statement, it's an answer we require. Second question, Dr. Philippa Whitford. Philippa.
I think the Secretary of State would find that most people in Scotland were rather glad that their NHS did not come under the Health and Social Care Act fragmentation of 2012. But having ignored the Scottish Government's call in February for all arrivals to undergo hotel quarantine, he then delayed adding India to the red list. This allowed the more infectious Delta variant, which one dose of the vaccine is less effective against, to enter and become dominant in the UK. Is he not concerned that if he removes all social distancing completely in the near future, this variant will cause a COVID surge among those who are not fully vaccinated?
Secretary of State.
As I was saying, Mr. Speaker...
Maybe not.
Touché, sir. Touché. In response to the question put by the Honourable Lady, what I'd say is this. The opening up and the return of our freedoms is only possible because of the UK vaccination effort. And in the 6 months to the day since we first vaccinated across these islands, yes, in Coventry, but also in Scotland, in Wales, in Northern Ireland, starting 6 months ago today. Since then, we've delivered 68 million vaccines across the whole UK. We've saved thousands of lives, and the whole of the United Kingdom has been set fair on the road to recovery thanks to the UK government's vaccination effort. I'm very grateful to everybody in Scotland, in Wales, in Northern Ireland and in England who's played their part in delivering it, and that shows the benefit of the United Kingdom Union saving lives, working together for everybody on these islands.
Substantive question to the Minister.
With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I will take questions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 together. I am hugely ambitious about social care reform. I want a sustainable care system that meets people's needs and aspirations and gives them the care and support they need to live life to the full. We are working on proposals for reform and will bring these forwards later this year.
Go to Carl Turner. Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is responsible for over 40,000 needless deaths from COVID-19 in care homes, and a plan to fix social care in this country is long overdue. But this crisis isn't new. People are routinely forced to sell the family home to pay for care. The workers are paid peanuts, while over 13 million unpaid carers are left to pick up the pieces. So does the Minister agree that we have had far too many vague promises and that unpaid carers cannot wait a minute longer?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I agree with the Honourable Member that there are many challenges indeed for social care, and that is one reason why, in fact, many governments have talked about social care reform. As he will understand, over the last year we have rightly focused on supporting social care through the pandemic, but we are working on our proposals for reform. We'll be bringing these forward later this year.
Let's go to Christine Jardine. Christine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Almost 2 years ago, the government promised to fix social care once and for all. But we've seen in this pandemic that it is still seriously broken. Care doesn't stop at the hospital exit or the GP's door. Carers have sacrificed physical and mental health caring for loved ones during the pandemic. 72% have had no break and 44% say they're at breaking point. So in this National Carers Week, can the Minister commit to cross-party talks in the immediate term to fix the social care crisis throughout the UK?
Well, this week, as she says, is Carers Week, and it's a really good opportunity to raise awareness about carers' important role that carers play supporting loved ones, and also to remember something that I personally am committed to is not only that we must support carers in the care that they do, but also to live their own lives, for which, for instance, respite care is really, really important. And as part of our reform for social care, we are, of course, listening to carers and want to make sure their needs are met as part of these reforms.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In July 2019, the Prime Minister stood on the steps of Downing Street and pledged to fix the broken social care system. 2 years on and we're still waiting. Wise words were only mentioned in the Queen's speech a couple of weeks ago to say proposals on social care reform will be brought forward. So can the Minister explain when you will move from the rhetoric to more words and bring reality to fix this broken system for the people that you've just mentioned that need it desperately?
Well, I welcome her support and interest and that of others across this House for social care reform. As she said, we know that social care reform is needed. We have rightly, over the last year, focused on supporting social care through the pandemic, getting £1.8 billion of extra funding for social care to the front line, providing billions of items of PPE, over 100 million tests to social care, and the vaccination programme, of course, to care home residents, those who receive social care, and the workforce. And we are working on our social care reforms, and we will bring those forward later this year.
Dougan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many in this place and across England will be asking where is England's long-awaited social care bill, because they'll see in Scotland that the SNP government are delivering a new deal for the social care sector, building a new national care service that will improve worker conditions and standards of care and increasing investment in care by 25%. So will the UK government follow Scotland's lead in transforming social care, and will the Minister contact Scottish Government ministers to learn from our experience of over a decade of integrating health and social care?
Well, one of the great strengths of our United Kingdom is to be able to work together and to learn from different parts of the UK, and also, in fact, to look at the best within. We look at the best within England, we look at Wales and Scotland, Northern Ireland, of course. He also mentions the care workforce, and that's something I want to touch on because as part of our social care reform plans, we absolutely want to make sure that the workforce is front and centre of those and receives the training, the opportunities, the recognition and the reward that that important workforce deserves.
8 withdrawn. We go to Mike Ainsbury.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government have had 11 years to reform social care. Cuts £8 billion out over that period of time. It's fragmented, it's costly, it doesn't value workers and employees. Isn't it time that the Minister and the government grabbed the bull by the horns and introduced a National Health and Social Care Service? When a reform's going to come into play? What day? What month? What year?
Well, actually, it's not just the period that he mentions that social care reforms have been talked about. It goes back at least 25 years when Tony Blair was leader and Prime Minister, and he talked about reforms to social care. But he's also said it's not simple. These are complex problems to address. When people talk about social care needs fixing, different people mean different things. That's why, as part of our reforms, we're going to bring forward a long-term plan for reforming social care.
Dame Diana Johnson.
Can I just say to the Minister that I think most members of the House of Commons will find her attitude incredibly complacent on one of the issues that face most families in this country. Now, as my honourable friend has just said, there's been an £8 billion cut to social care since 2010. One of the steps she could take straight away is to reinstate that £8 billion cut to local authorities so they can at least provide services now for the social care system that we have.
I'm actually quite disappointed by the language that the honourable member uses, and I have huge respect for her in many areas that she works in, and she will appreciate that together with the department and actually with the local authorities and the care sector, we're working hard on how to bring forward the right package of reforms for the system. We have actually already taken some of the first steps on that road. For instance, in the Health and Social Care Bill, there are plans to introduce strengthened oversight for the social care system, which is an important step, but that is the beginning, not the end, of the social care reform road.
Mr. Kendall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 685 days ago, the Prime Minister promised to fix the crisis in social care, to give every older person the dignity and security they deserve. Since then, more than 32,000 elderly people have died from COVID-19 in care homes. Millions of care workers and families have felt abandoned and pushed to breaking point. And 300 elderly people have been forced to sell their homes to pay for their care every single week. Does the Minister think that's giving people security, let alone dignity? And will she tell the country, after more than a decade in power, specifically, when will her government deliver?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I will say after the enormously difficult year that social care has had through the pandemic is that indeed it has strengthened the already strong case for reform of social care. And I will say to her that I want us to have a better social care system, whether it's for our grands and granddads, our mums and dads, our brothers and sisters, our children and grandchildren, or indeed, as and when we need it, for ourselves. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reform social care. Now is the time, now is the moment, and we will seize this opportunity, and we will be bringing forward proposals for the reform of social care later this year.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.